Hey, the word for you today, it's Monday, June 23rd. Citizens and Pilgrims. It's an interesting title, isn't it? Citizens and Pilgrims. Hebrews chapter 11, beginning verse 13, going to verse 16. You know, Hebrews 11 is the faith chapter. So read along here. Hebrews 11, beginning verse 13. It says, all these people were still living by faith when they died. Now, who are all these people? Well, it's like Abraham and Sarah, Isaac, Jacob. You can even go back to Noah and some of them. But these were people who, they didn't see Jesus come. All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, and they admitted that they were aliens and strangers on earth. People who say such things show that they are looking for a country of their own. If they had been thinking of the country they had left, they would have had opportunity to return. Instead, they were longing for a better country, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. You know, one of the reasons I think we as believers struggle in this life sometimes is we expect, I think sometimes we expect heaven to be here on earth, or at least that we are treated better than everybody else because we are God's child. And when we go through sufferings and we see it seems like the bad guys are winning, it's hard. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. And what we're reading here, Citizens and Pilgrims, it tells us that we're not home. This is not our home. There was a man going and visiting a man who was serving in another country, serving the Lord in another country. And as he went and visited his home, he saw there was a desk and some books, but the lack of furniture was really kind of concerning to him. So he said, where's your furniture? He's visiting him from another country. And he says, well, where's yours? He says, well, I didn't bring mine with me. Mine's back home in my home. And he goes, well, I'm not home either. And, you know, we have that idea. Here in this earth, we are not at home. Sometimes we get real comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with being comfortable as long as we realize we're not at home. The writer of the Hebrews helps us to see life here on earth as God sees it. Look at verse 13. It says, all these people, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, and the others, they didn't receive the things promised. Well, what was promised to them? Remember, Abraham left his home. God called him to leave his home and go to a home, a place. He promised him descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. He promised him a home, promised to be a blessing to all the people on the earth. God gave Abraham those promises, but Abraham died before he saw those promises come about. But did those promises come about? Yes, they did. In verse 14, it says they recognized they had not arrived at home. They were on a journey. They were looking for something better. And then verse 15 talks about they could have returned to home, the home they left. But sometimes we get frustrated with where we are and we turn around and we quit and go back home. And we miss out on what could have been. They didn't. They kept going. They kept moving forward. Then verse 16, they kept looking for what God had for them, which was not on this earth. Because of their faith, God was pleased with them. Now, how can we live as citizens of heaven while here on earth? Well, Colossians chapter 3, verse 2 says, set your minds on things above. So we need to be heavenly minded, but we also need to be careful that we're not so heavenly minded that we're of no earthly good. Sometimes we can be just so heavenly minded that we don't function well here on earth. God wants us to be a servant here. And then spend time with other believers who struggle with life here but are looking forward to heaven. Spend time with other believers. Yeah, when you're on a vacation and you're in another state or even maybe in another country and you run across somebody else from Oklahoma, wow, it's kind of a neat thing. You feel a connection there. Look for those folks, that fellow believers, and they realize, I'm not home. Home is in heaven. And then tell others about the hope you have of heaven. and how that helps you right now. There was a missionary, Dr. Thomas Lambie, went to Ethiopia as a medical missionary. He'd been there for some time, and he wanted to buy land for a mission statement. But an Ethiopian law stated that foreigners could not buy land in Ethiopia. Because Dr. Lambie had such great love for Christ and for the people of Ethiopia, you know what he did? He gave up his citizenship in the United States of America, became a citizen of Ethiopia. And after that, he was able to purchase land for his medical mission. That took a great deal of dedication, didn't it? He gave up his citizenship to America. Well, he knew it was temporary. This wasn't his home. Ethiopia wasn't his forever home. Heaven was, and he recognized that. Jim Elliot once said, "He is no fool who gives up what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose." We try sometimes so hard to keep hold of everything here on earth. One of the days it's all going to be gone. What's most important is what we lay up in heaven. That is our relationship with Jesus and those that we have told about Jesus. So let me ask you, citizen, pilgrim, here? Is your home really here? Is your home really in heaven? How does that affect decisions that we make? Have a good day.